Hello, it's Darren here to review another crossover day pack. And this time I'm looking at the Divide by Mountainsmith, which is a 22-liter bag. So let's take a look at it. First thing I want to pass on to you is that 22 liters is a bit smaller than what I'm typically interested in. If you've been following my blog or my YouTube channel, you'll know that my target is right around 28 liters. I think that's an ideal size for an everyday crossover bag. And so obviously 22 sounded like it was pretty far outside of the size that I typically like. However, you should know that there's no real standardization when it comes to pack manufacturers and their ratings for the size of a pack in terms of its liters. So in the end, it's always better just to go ahead and get the bag and use it yourself, pack it up, etc., and see if it really is 22 liters, as they said was the case for this Mountainsmith, or maybe a little bit bigger. After using this bag for about a month as my primary bag, it definitely feels more like a 28 liter than it does a 22 liter. Let's start with the front of the bag, and you'll see here that there is a slash pocket on the front. And notice here, the lining is bright yellow. I love bright yellow linings or light colors in general because you can really see into the very bottom of the bag because of the reflected light. And this otherwise is a pretty good sized pocket. It ends right here where you can see the black area on the pack. And it extends a little bit above, so right where you see where it says Mountainsmith up here, it has some space up in there. And it is slightly gusseted, so it has a little bit of volume to it. You could fairly easily fit, say, a light windbreaker in here, or maybe a sweater vest, perhaps. But no organization going on in here. It's just an open pocket on the outside front. Swinging around here to the side, we can see here that we have a pocket that has a Velcro closure, a flap with a Velcro closure. This is big enough to accommodate an iPhone 7 Plus, which is the phone that I carry around. So this is typically where I kept my iPhone. Very easy to get access to it, to have it on the outside of your pack, and relatively secure because frankly, if somebody tries to take your iPhone, the dead giveaway sound is like an alarm of hearing the Velcro tear open. So handy spot right there to be able to keep things that you need to get access to quickly. And then flipping around to this side, you can see that we have a really good sized water bottle pocket. This thing is much longer than just about any water bottle pocket that I've seen associated with a bag of this size. It's pretty amazing. So this accommodates a Camelback bottle, or what are those bottles that keep things cold forever now? I mean, I have one. I just can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it fits in here, not a problem, and I'll show you that when I go to pack up this bag. It also does have the bungee cord closure to keep it snug in there. And you can even, if you don't want to keep it that snug, you can put this bungee cord over the top of the water bottle and hold it in place in that way. So really nice, good sized water bottle to have on your backpack. And then let's swing around and take a look at the suspension system here. And you can see here that it does have the mesh back for ventilation. It does lack a center open channel, which acts in some ways like a chimney to allow for even more ventilation. Frankly, I didn't find it to be that big of a deal. I mean, I'm not running around when it comes to using these bags. I'm using them mostly for my work and only sometimes on weekends where getting a little bit of sweatiness on the back isn't that big a deal. The shoulder straps, they are adjustable and they're shaped. And you can see here that there are a couple things. One, there's a little lash loop here you can connect something to, as well as a plastic D-ring on this side and another lash loop just above it. We have an adjustable sternum strap, and it has a little bit of stretchiness and give to it. And then, very importantly, you can see down here we have a webbing waist belt. And this is removable, so I know some of you don't like to have the waist belt. I actually always like to have a waist belt if I need it, in case I have to move fast or I'm cycling or doing something more active. It's nice to have the option of a waist belt to stabilize your load. And this is a nice waist belt because the webbing itself is probably 1.5 inches wide, and that's unusual. So really a nice suspension system you got going here. One thing I forgot to show, which is, you can see here it's unzipped at this point. This is the laptop compartment. Again, bright yellow. There's only a single compartment in here, so it'll fit my 15-inch MacBook Pro without any issue. There's not another pocket in here to put your papers or a file folder, which is unfortunate. And then zips up. It is a reversed zipper, but it's not a water-resistant zipper, which is kind of a shame, and I'll explain in a moment why this was a strange design choice. So then let's take a look inside the interior of the bag. Notice that it zips down to the top of the water bottle over here, water bottle pocket, and it unzips to this Velcro closed outside pocket here on that side. So it doesn't open up entirely like a clamshell, but it certainly opens up enough. And let's take a look inside. Again, it's got the yellow in the background in the liner, which I think is great, fully taped seams. This pocket in the front is pretty cool. So it's got a couple things going on here. This front pocket here, you can see there's a zipper, and I'll show a picture that's probably sliding in right now of a close-up of this. There's a zipper here, and it's a mesh pocket, so things that you put into here, you'll be able to see without having to unzip the pocket to fish around inside of it. So you might want to put your earbuds in there, some change, dongles, whatever it is that you might want to put in there and be able to see pretty immediately. It's not a huge pocket, but it certainly is handy. And then behind this pocket itself is actually a flap, and it's held onto another pocket behind it with some Velcro, with pretty good sized patch of Velcro, by the way. And under this is a pocket. I'm holding it upside down. Of course, if I'm holding it like this, obviously the pocket is open on the top here. But to allow you to be able to visualize what's going on here, this pocket is perfectly sized for sunglasses. And it is fleece lined, so it protects your sunglasses. And for me, that's really an essential piece to a bag. All right, you can see here that in this main compartment we have a hook, and that's to carry a hydration bladder. And then the tube that goes from the hydration reservoir, it actually can exit through the top of the pack here, so there's an opening through the top of the pack. And in fact, that's why you have these D-rings and these loops here, because you can take the tube and you can insert it through here to keep it from flopping all over the place. It somewhat contains it by having it in a spot on your shoulder strap. And if you don't have a hydration pack here, you certainly can use this big open pocket simply for your papers, file folders, etc. Okay, so you can see here too that we have our organization panel, and it's against the back wall of this pack. And there's two big pockets, big square pockets. They're about, I'd say 4 inches by 4 inches. One central pocket, which is much narrower. I fit 2 pencils or 2 pens in this slot. It's too bad it's not fully divided, but I didn't find it to be that big a deal. It's easily able to take a couple of pens without too much of a problem. One thing I will tell you is that I don't love having organization panels inside the main compartment. And the reason for that is if you have your main compartment filled, let's say with a notebook, and it goes all the way up to, say, just underneath my hand here, then you have to peel away your notebook to get access to your pens or whatever it is that you have organized back in here. It's much better to have this organization panel in a separate pocket that would be located probably best on the outside of a pack, or making the best of a bad situation, I don't love this either, but having the organization panel on this front flap. Usually I don't really love this design either, because if you have your pens hanging out here on this front flap and it goes something like that, your pens and whatever you have in those pockets fall out. So really it's best to have an organization pocket that's completely separate from the main compartment, typically on the outside front of the pack, so it has easy access, so you have easy access to the stuff that you keep in that organization panel. The main compartment is good sized, and I'll show you what I can fit in there in just a moment. Okay, so I think that's it. That's a tour around the pack. Let me talk a little bit about details of things that I think are important. You will notice that there is a cover for the zippers. The zipper, by the way, is massive for this outside, this pocket that goes into the main compartment. It's a YKK 10, and you know, there's no way this would fail. I think, you know, elephants could be pulling on it, and it's going to hold together. So one of the beefiest zippers I've seen on this kind of a pack. Nice big tabs here, so that if you're wearing gloves or maybe even mittens, you could grab onto this and open things up. I think that's really a nice detail, an important detail. I really don't like the flaps that cover. These are sort of like rain flaps that cover the zipper. While it looks cool to have a zipper covered up because it has a more finished look to it, I grant you that. The problem is that these rain flaps actually get in the way of you being able to unzip things. They just sort of, you have to move them out of the way sometimes to zip and unzip, or they do something like that. They flop over and they stay like that, and then that just looks hideous. In my mind, it's just better not to have those rain flaps at all. Just keep them off. It's not like this was claiming to be a waterproof bag in any sort of way. And if they really wanted to make it water resistant, you could have actually, and I know it's more expensive, but Mountainsmith could have put in a water resistant zipper here instead of this one. In fact, they could have dropped it down to a YKK 8, make it waterproof, and I think it would have made the bag a little bit more functional and not that much different in terms of its durability. So again, you have this zipper cover here for the getting into the main compartment, and obviously you have a zipper cover here. This isn't as big a deal because you don't have to turn corners with the zipper, but again, it's done to make it look more finished as well as to offer some water resistance so that water, if it's sheeting down off your bag, doesn't go into your zipper and get your stuff completely soaking wet. What's strange is you would think that one of the areas where you'd really want to have a zipper cover and maybe even deal with the headache of a zipper cover would be the compartment where you keep your laptop. And oddly enough, that's the one place there is no zipper cover. Mountainsmith's not alone in this. It seems like a lot of bag manufacturers decide to ignore the area that holds your laptop. And perhaps even for those folks who have laptops that you access from the top. So it's not just that because it's on its side, it's not going to get as much water coming into it. I think it's just sort of access. I mean, what's funny is that they think about it in terms of access when it comes to getting your laptop, because we all know that if we sit down, one of the first things we need to do is take out our laptop and start doing our work. So perhaps, you know, just to make it for ease of access, they decided to put it on the side here and not cover it up. Not to mention the fact that you don't really see it, right? Nobody looks at it on this side, so you don't have to cover it up. So for aesthetics, there's no point in putting a zipper cover over here. This is a not as big a zipper. It feels like it must be a YKK 6. It looks like it's a YKK, no, it's YKK 8, okay? But it's plenty beefy. It's a reversed zipper so that it looks a little bit smoother. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look and see what it means to have a reverse zipper. It kind of looks like you've turned your jacket inside out, and that's what you see on the outside of the bag when it comes to the zipper. Lastly, there is a nice webbing handle right here that you can grab onto. And I find these things to be incredibly handy for two reasons. One, when I take off my bag, I want to be able to grab it and sometimes put it in the seat next to me, whether it's in a car or a train, or even when I get into my classroom and I just want to plunk this down on top of the seat next to the bench where I teach. But it's also really nice to be able to hang this. And the fact that this handle is on the back of the pack rather than, say, centered right here means that when this pack is hanging against the wall, it hangs nice and flat against the wall. There are various places to attach other things to your pack in case you want to. Maybe, I don't do yoga, but maybe you want to have your yoga roll right here and you can attach it with lash straps, but they don't provide those lash straps. They just provide the loops here. And then there's another, this is really, these little cute things here are far more for show than anything else, but I suppose you could put a blinky light on this little leather thing here. This look of this pack has much more sort of as an alpine late 1980s look, which I do like. I mean, I'm a product of the 80s, and so I certainly like the way this bag looks, but it is a little bit casual, right? It looks more like the kind of thing you'd see on the backs of people who are hiking around on the weekend rather than on the back of businessmen. I mean, you couldn't wear this very easily with a suit. I suppose you could, but it would look off, as you could imagine. So the bag is a little bit casual. Frankly, it works just fine for me. I work on a campus. I'm a teacher on a campus. And so, yes, I do dress up in a coat and tie, but I mean, the casual professor look thing is fine. I mean, people certainly don't look at me and think, boy, that guy looks so unprofessional walking around with a red backpack. But obviously, it's something that you'll need to consider when you think of this in terms of it being a crossover. It doesn't cross over into Wall Street. It crosses over into campuses. Okay, so let me go ahead and pack this bag up, put it on, and show you how well it carries a load. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pack up the Mountainsmith Divide with all the stuff that I typically carry with me on a daily basis. And we will see how well it holds all the stuff and how comfortable it is to wear it when it's under load. All right, there you have it, all packed up. Let me go ahead and toss it on and tell you how comfortable it is to carry about, 18 pounds, 20 pounds worth of stuff. Okay, there you have it. I'm wearing it right now. See how it sits on my back. It's very comfortable. This suspension system, Mountainsmith is known for their sort of technical backpacks, and so they have very comfortable suspension systems. If I want to, I can stabilize the load a little bit here with my sternum strap, or if I really want to, I can use the hip belt. I'm not going to even bother for this situation. But the straps themselves don't cut in any sort of way. They're comfortable, certainly adjustable. No problem carrying this kind of a load for a long period of time. And in general, a very accessible pack as well. Very easy to get stuff out of it, as well as load the pack when I have to load it very quickly. So in general, I would say this is a great little pack. I would have preferred certainly having this thing have a organizer panel on the front, perhaps. They could have easily just converted this front slash pocket into an organizer panel. There's enough volume in there for that. Had they done that, this probably would have been really perfect. Like I said, it is a little bit casual, so maybe it won't work for you. It is okay for me in my situation, although maybe not always. It doesn't. I mean, bright red is a color that you got to get used to, but it does come in a khaki color as well as black. And really, like I said, the only things that kind of bother me a little bit are the zipper covers here, which impede access to getting into the main compartment. Oh, there is one other thing. It's really the one. It's small, but kind of an important thing. As I showed you, there is the sunglasses pocket right inside here. It's unfortunate that you have to go into the main compartment to get access to that. It would have been nice if there was zippered access to it from outside, immediately. Let's say they decided to put a zipper in right along the front here. Then you could have been able to get access to your sunglasses without having to unzip the main compartment and potentially expose all the stuff in the main compartment to rain or a thief, whatever it is. I mean, it would have just been nicer to have the quick access to that pocket from the outside of the pack rather than having to dig in. But otherwise, I really do like this pack. I like using it, carries my stuff well. All right, I'll see you for the next review. Bye-bye.